On today's show, we'll take a look back at some of my favorite gadgets, tech interviews, and more from past episodes. You're really going to love each one. And you'll meet some of the most amazing and inspirational guests who shared their stories with us about how technology is making a difference in their lives. Plus, we always get such great comments about our digital life hacks and DIY security tips. After all, none of this tech comes with a manual. I'll point out our most popular ones so you can be a pro too. All this plus more digital know-how and, of course, your phone calls here on Komando. If you stay at this new high-tech hotel in China, don't stop at the front desk to check in and get a room key. That's so last century. Have you ever heard of Alibaba? Think of it as China's version of Amazon.com. And like Amazon, they don't just sell things. They branch out into other areas like hotels. They just opened a brand new hotel in China that's filled to the brim with high-tech features like robots that deliver room service, and they also tend bar. Guests use an app that scans their face for faster check-in, and no need to strain yourself pushing any buttons on the elevator. That'll scan your face too, and since it knows who you are, it'll dump you off at the right floor. You also won't need a key card or anything similar to get into your room because, you guessed it, your face gets scanned outside the door. Once you drop everything off in your room, you head down to the bar, of course, only to realize that you left your wallet in your room. No problem. They'll just scan your face to charge your account too. If you see something that you'd like to buy, take a picture of it, and it's shipped right to you. While this is all in China, facial recognition tech is exploding here in the United States, too. Just face it, we don't own our own faces anymore. All right, Ford just loves to dabble in tech areas other than cars and trucks. And now they're taking on your nervous pets. Maybe you've got a dog that goes into full freak-out mode when it storms or during loud holidays like the 4th of July. Now, a lot of folks love fireworks, but there's a good chance that your pups don't. So Ford has designed a noise-canceling dog kennel, and you got to see this thing. It looks like a futuristic house. It even comes equipped with an automatic door. This futuristic doghouse uses tech similar to what you find in newer vehicles like the Ford Edge and noise-canceling headphones. The cork-lined kennel has a microphone that detects the sound of fireworks, and then the built-in audio system emits opposing frequency that basically cancels out the noise. I know what you're thinking. I wish they'd make one big enough for me to go to when my wife says, I'm in the doghouse. Now, just imagine you're driving just a little too fast, and yes, you see those flashing lights coming up behind you. You pull over to the side and turn off the engine, waiting for the officer to walk up to your window. But instead of an officer, you see a robotic arm that's rolling toward your window instead. What? Yeah, it's a real thing, created by a robotics engineer by the name of Ruben Buer, who built one in his California garage. Now, it's a full-on project at the company where he works, SRI International. And he wants police to buy into his idea as a way to make traffic stops safer for both officers and drivers, thus saving lives. When a police officer stops you, an extendable arm that's attached to the driver's side of the patrol car is deployed, and it rolls along the ground to your window. On that arm is a police helmet-wearing tablet with a camera, so you can see each other. Then it scans or takes a photo of your driver's license and insurance, whatever documents the officer requests. No one has to get out of their car, reducing the risk of confrontations, and the officer doesn't have to worry about being hurt by, say, passing traffic. Sure, it may be safer for the officer and the person in the car, but what about all those inevitable accidents caused by other drivers trying to figure out what the heck they just passed? I don't think this is what they meant by, say, the long arm of the law. As if real influencers on social media aren't bad enough, well, now you've got computer-generated kinds, and they're raking in huge amounts of money hand over digitally animated fist. All right, are you ready? Welcome to the world of CGI influencers, and it's not just one or two. Computer-generated social media influencers is set to become, get this, a $2 billion industry by next year. All right, fine, but here's the scary part. While some of these CGIs look nothing like a real human, others are really realistic. In fact, a lot of folks who follow some of these influencers don't even know that they're not real people. All right, sure, there's a real person behind the scenes of each one, but a lot of their followers think the person on the screen is as human as they are. All right, an influencer by the name of Little Minguella has over 1 million followers on Instagram and was named as one of Time Magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet. Okay, it looks like the word people has taken on a much more broad meaning because Little Minguella is nothing more than a computer-generated character created by an LA-based software company. So just when you think some of these social media influencers couldn't be any less genuine, welcome to the future. All right, here's a tip. Don't let fake people tell you how to spend your real money. Next, I'll take a look back at a brave schoolgirl who lost her hands and forearms to meningitis as a baby. Wait until you see how one UK company changed her life here on Komando. You know, every once in a while, I run across a story about technology that really hits the human heart. And this past week, I was introduced to a young woman by the name of Tilly. Now, Tilly is not your average 13-year-old girl. Tilly is amazing. Thankfully for technology and for some big Hollywood stars, Tilly has a chance of being, well, I guess you'd say, Superwoman, right? The $6 million girl. And Tilly, welcome to the Kim Komando Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Tilly, what happened?
Well, I was born perfectly normal, happy, healthy baby. And then when I was 15 months old, I contracted a disease called meningococcal septicemia strain B. Septicemia is like a form of really bad blood poisoning, and I had a really bad case of it. And I basically got rushed to hospital. And because at first they diagnosed me with an ear infection. But my mum, because I had my older sister at the time and none of us had ever had an ear infection before, but deep down my mum knew like this couldn't be an ear infection, this was a lot worse. And it wasn't until she saw the sepsis marks on my body, the bruises, that she realised this is something serious. And coincidentally, it's as if it was meant to be, but my mum and her sister were actually reading a magazine literally like a couple of months before, and there was an article in the magazine about how to look out for septicemia, meningitis. And it's one of those articles that she said, obviously, you don't really want to read because it's quite sad, but, you should as a parent. And she read it, and there were pictures of those marks, the sepsis marks. And then as soon as she saw them on me, she, called the hospital straight away, and I was rushed there. They basically gave us 0% chance of survival.
Wow.
Because, in the article, it said, 1 in 10, only 1 in 10 die. So my dad was like, oh, well, then she'll be all right, won't you? But they were just like, well, she is at the sicker end of the scale. And they basically said when they, shut my body down, and I was living off machines, trying to keep my heart going through machines.
Geez. That must have been heartbreaking for your parents.
Yeah, my mom's traumatized. We went, because I broke my arm at school, and then I went in to get the cast on, and it was the same place where I had meningitis. I rushed in with the meningitis I had as a baby, and my mum just stopped and went all dizzy, and I was like, Mum, it's fine, I'm here. But yeah, they basically just said, do you want to come in before we shut her body off, because it might be the last time you actually see her alive. She might not wake up. So it was really deep and scary, but hey, I'm here now, and I've done so many amazing things.
Okay, so tell us about your bionic arms. How did that happen?
Yeah, ever since I lost my hands, my mum made us a promise before I went in to get them amputated, and she said, Tilly, I promise one day you'll have your hands back. And we were really lucky, because when we were going in for the amputations, the doctor actually said to us, are you interested in having prosthetics in the future? And my mum, obviously I was 1, so I couldn't really make that decision for myself. My mum wanted me to have all those options available for when I'm older so that I could decide on my own. And lots of people don't get that. But the doctor amputated in a way which would be really easy for me to wear prosthetics. And ever since then, I've been trialing all sorts of different prosthetic hands. And the evolution of it has been crazy. 10 years ago, I was trying all sorts of hands. My first pair of hands was literally a socket to put my arm in, and then it had 3 hooks sticking out the top, tied together by elastic bands. And the way that worked is I moved my upper body, and then those 3 little claws would close over.
So it wasn't really the best then.
no, not very ideal. And then 10 years later, we have these, and it's just crazy how far technology has like developed.
Okay, so tell us about James Cameron, the movie, how you actually got this amazing piece of technology that's making a total difference in your life.
Yeah, so a movie recently came out. It was Alita Battle Angel. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you should go see it because it's amazing. I've actually seen it twice. But in this film, Alita is like, she's got a berserker body. That's what they call it. It's like kind of cyborg type of thing. It's all mechanical and really cool too. And she's kind of like a superhero. She just like is so independent, does everything so amazing, and she's just a really great character that I could kind of relate to. So at my school, on the buses, Alita Battle Angel was actually advertised, and I would already say, oh, look, there's me, not knowing that I was going to the premiere just because I could relate to her because like her hand was in it, going like that on her face. And I actually had no idea about the premiere at all. My mum and dad knew, but I thought I was just going to London to do a quick photo shoot. I knew I was getting some new hands because I grew out of my other ones, but I didn't know anything about the premiere. I didn't know that the hands would be based off the movie or anything like that. So when I got there, I like went into the room next door, and surprisingly, I was greeted with like 12 huge cameras, and John Lando, and Sammy Payne, she's like the co-owner of Open Bionics, people who make the hands. They were stood with my hands in the box, and I was just like, what is going on? So it was just really shocking to me because we were in like the Dorchester, and I was wearing some nice clothes and that, and I was like, oh, make sure I wear something nice. And I'm just like,
okay, so your mom totally knew what was going on. And so she surprised you. Okay, so what's the one thing, Tilly, that surprises you the most that now you're able to do that you weren't able to do beforehand?
Well, since I lost my hand so young, I was 15 months old, so I actually have zero memories whatsoever ever having hands. So I've like really adapted very well because I didn't know anything different. And so I'm able to do quite a lot of things without prosthetics, but it's just so much fun wearing them, and I absolutely love them too. But they definitely help me to be able to multitask, because if you amputate both hands, you have to do everything with your two arms together. So it was really hard for me to do two things at a time, and I was able to hold a hot chocolate and pull a suitcase when I was in the train station the other day. I'm able to crack an egg, and it definitely helps with like cooking at when I want to like hold a bowl still and stare at the same time, because I wouldn't have been able to do that before.
Well, I think it's really, I mean, you've obviously acclimated to the hands, because as you've been speaking, and you're a beautiful, brave young woman, by the way. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you're here with us. But as you've been speaking, is that you've been actually moving your hair. I've been watching you moving your hair out of your eyes using your prosthetic, which is really cool. So has this inspired you to do something in the future in technology?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with Open Bionics for like 4 or 5 years, and if this is what Open Bionics can come up with in 5 years, just imagine what it'll be like in another 5 years. And I'm just so excited for the day where everyone's just walking around with robotic limbs and it's just completely normal. And I don't think it's very far off, and I can't wait.
Well, Tilly, thank you so much for joining us. You're an inspiration to everyone, really. And I know you're in the UK, but if you ever get to the United States, and if you ever get to Phoenix, Arizona, you have to come by and say hello. You promise?
Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay. Thank you, Tilly. Coming up, I'm going to show you one of my most favorite interviews that I did with the creative director and founder of the hot Instagram label, Sophistafunk. Her style is as unique as her personality. Next, here on Komando. Every once in a while, I come across a story that is so inspirational that I just can't wait until I can share it with you. And when you start thinking about Instagram influencers, what comes to mind, right? The duck selfies, these young gals and guys in their teens and early 20s with all these exotic poses and all these exotic places, right? Well, I'd like to introduce you to Orlinda McIntosh. Now, Orlinda is an Instagram influencer, but as you'll see, she's not quite 19 anymore. Well, she's 29 like the rest of us, right, Orlinda?
No.
No, not at all?
No, not at all.
All right. No. So you are the founder of your own Instagram clothing company, correct?
Yes.
And so how did that get started?
Okay, I'll try to make a long story really short. In my late 20s, I was married, and I came home for lunch to surprise my husband. But he surprised me. He had flew the coop, and I had days to figure out how am I going to get rent, which was due in the next couple of weeks. So I called up two of my girlfriends and I let them know what happened. And one of them said to me, why don't you make us something? At the time, I wasn't making clothing. I was working at a cable company. So I took her up on her offer. I ran to the fabric store and I bought denim, really cheap denim. And I made 5 denim jumper dresses and I gave them each one. I sold them to them for $25 a piece. So I took that $125, I put $100 to the side, took another $25, and I went back to the cheap dollars fabric store. And I asked them if they come back again, if I do this again next week, would they come back? So they said, yeah, they bought friends, and I made it here somehow. That was so long ago, but
well, I think it's just fabulous. So, have you always had an interest in fashion?
No.
So were you like this exotic dresser that your friend said, hey, Orlinda, make us some really cool clothes?
As a kid, I would actually rather collect bugs. As a young adult, fashion never entered my mind. I've always dressed the way that people see me now, but I never knew that it was of interest to anyone. That was just what I liked. I've always liked a lot of fabric. You know, I have denim skirts with trains on the back. I think I just like the excess of.
I see. And so when you started your Instagram account, how many followers did you have?
Well, when I started, probably my family, maybe like 3 or 4. But it picked up really quickly, but I didn't really notice it because when I started, I didn't start it for fashion. I just started because I was with Facebook early on. So, I mean, I was on Instagram as soon as Instagram started. So I've always been interested in, now that I know that tech is short for technology, and that may sound funny to some people, but when you're going through life, you just accept things as they come.
Sure, yeah.
You give them a name. They're just what they are.
Absolutely. And so you started modeling your own clothes, right? Is that when you saw the difference in your sales and the Instagram followers?
Yes. To be honest, I never looked at it as modeling because, you know, we're taught that models are tall and thin. So when I was having a problem getting people to put the clothes on because they always had a complaint, oh, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I said, well, I still have to show these clothing to the world, so I'm just going to put them on. I have me, I wake up with me, I go to sleep with me. So I'm going to put them on and I'm going to see what happens. And surprisingly, it picked up. And so I think that maybe the older people look and say, oh, I can wear that. And the younger people look and say, oh, if she can do it, I know I can do it. And maybe I might even look better because I'm younger. So that was just my thought. It happened, but everything with me that happened with my brand was organic. So I never really started a business and said, oh, let me make a business plan. I just kind of went with the flow.
Okay, and so your business started taking off, and I read somewhere that your sales actually doubled. In
Yes.
what period of time did that happen?
Oh, wow, quickly. I'm going to say within the first year that I actually started putting my focus on this is marketing. I'm showing these, I look at it like I'm showing people clothing. You look at it as marketing. Now I get it. But if I had looked at it as marketing then, I may not have done it this way because for me, I'm just doing something.
Sure, and you're doing something that you love and you're great at it and good stuff like that. Now, when you start looking at Instagram, you know, so many people are trying to figure out what is that magical formula for Instagram that will get me all these followers? Is it by doing stories or live streams or maybe like picking a certain theme for a certain month? Do you have like a secret to success that you could share with us?
I just do what I like.
Perfect.
So I'll look online sometimes and look up what is today is National what Day. Oh, let me put on something and make it that, like National Marshmallow Day. Maybe I'll put on all white and buy a bag of marshmallows. Or maybe I'll even make up something. Today is National Girls with Curly Hair Day. Today is National I learned a new way to code day. So anything that comes to my mind, I do it. There's no magic, because you can't tell from one day to the next what is happening. You just have to do something.
It gets, you know what, and that's a really good point, because so often when we start talking about marketing on social media, it's organic. I mean, what happened yesterday, what worked yesterday is not going to work tomorrow. How did you come up with the name Sophistifunk?
Oh, that was funny. A few years back, around the 90s, like 94, 95, I was using sophisticated, it was retro trend-setting, sophistifunky styles. So I showed up at a really big casting for designers and stylists with I wanted my son to create me a book that would look like a magazine, but act as a portfolio. So I like words, so I called it a magfolio. So when I showed up with that, that's how I actually got that position, because it was the person that was looking at it thought that it was a magazine at first. And then when she realized it was someone's portfolio, I became afraid, like, oh my God, now they're going to hate me. I have something different. Wow, maybe I should have bought that black book. But it worked. So later on, I decided that my garments were sophisticated yet funky. So when I first put the words together, I thought, okay, that's kind of stupid. Nobody's going to believe that. That makes no sense. So I used something else.
I think it's a great name. I love the name Sophistifunk. I think it's so genuine. And it really says what your outfits are really. I mean, they're sophisticated, they're funky, they're a little out there. It may not be something that you'd wear to a business function, but it's certainly something that you could wear every day and have fun in.
Everything that I do, I wanted to be multifunctional, because if you look at the hashtag One Skirt, Endless Possibilities, that's our skirt that we've been doing since the 90s, and it's called The Gathering. That skirt is multifunctional. And when you say you can't wear it to work, but it's more for fun, actually, I don't want to say that's not true, but I'm not trying to change the world, but I want the world to see that it's all only fabric.
Sure.
Someone made a rule that you can't wear certain things in corporate, and you have to wear certain things on a red carpet, but it's all only fabric, and we make the rules.
What advice would you give to folks who say, you know what, that Instagram, that's creating an online business, that doing whatever, that's for the younger people. I can't do that. I mean, what advice would you have?
For me, and I can only speak for me, the advice I would give to someone of my age or older, and there's a lot of younger people that are not on social media, it's fun. And why not move along with what's happening? I personally, I don't like when I hear women my age say, oh, who does your Instagram? I manage 3 Instagram accounts and 2 cell phones and a phone. I have to do that because I can't rely on younger people or even my children. My son is your type of techie. But I can't rely on him and his company because he has a life, he has a business. So I learn from him, and there's always Google.
That's right.
Exactly. So I want to know that I know how to run my own.
And that's really great advice. And thank you, Orlinda, for joining us. And we're certainly going to link to your Instagram page over at our website, komando.com. And we're so proud of you. And I think it's so amazing what you've done. What an inspirational story. So, folks, if you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, this is something that I could never do. I mean, I just need to make some extra money, Kim. And, I look at making money and I'm going to be an Uber or Lyft driver or whatever. Start thinking out of the box. Don't let age be your barrier. Look at Orlinda. She's amazing. She's doing incredible things, and you can too. And if you need more tips, we've got them free for the taking over on our website, komando.com. Airless tires for everyday cars might soon be far more common. I'm going to tell you what major tire maker is about to roll out their new innovative product next here on Komando. Some interesting items that cross my desk and screen that you need to know about in this whole tech race is, first of all, let's talk about virtual reality. Yes. This one's for you, ladies. There are a lot of things you can try before you buy, but makeup can be really hard to return once you opened it. But now Amazon.com, L'Oreal, they say we're going to fix this problem with augmented reality. There's a new feature coming to the Amazon app where you can test out various shades of lipsticks on videos. And then there are live photos of what you're going to look like. And on some products, you can actually use the front-facing camera. It's called Live Mode, and there's a good chance it's already part of the Amazon app if you have Android, but you just haven't looked for it. For iPhone owners, you have to wait until some point later this year. If all goes well, they say they're going to expand the AR capabilities of the app to let you eventually try on other beauty products like foundation and eyeshadow. And hey, depending upon when it happens, you may be able to try it on an AR, click buy, have it drop shipped to your doorstep by a drone in less than 30 minutes. You know, half the time it takes to actually apply the real makeup. All right, moving along, here's another problem solver for the inconveniences of daily life. Drive over a nail or screw, and what happens? Tire goes flat. Hit a pothole, it's worse. Well, flat tires, because of technology, could one day be a thing of the past. That's according to General Motors. They've teamed up with Michelin to develop an airless tire, and they just debuted the prototype called UPTIS. I know what you're thinking, UPTIS. Where did that come from? Well, it's an acronym, of course. It stands for Unique Puncture-Proof Tire System, UPTIS. So no air means no more flats, no more blowouts, and the shape of the tire will eventually adapt to the terrain that you're driving over. And without all the extra wear that comes with various levels of tire inflation, GM says the tire should last for longer too. The UPTIS is still a prototype, but they're testing it, and you should be able to get your very own airless tires within a few years. And hopefully we'll have a little time with these new pothole-proof tires before, well, I don't know, flying cars become all the rage. Now, another headache that comes with driving, besides flat tires, is dealing with all the inconsiderate drivers on the roads. So picture this. You're on the on-ramp. You're getting up to speed. You know the driver behind you to your left sees you, but they're making no attempt to slow down whatever to let you merge in. Rude. Now, I know a lot of us would probably convey our feelings with the other driver with a certain finger, but now there's new technology that wants you to take the high road, so to speak, a brand new LED message board. It's called the Road Wave. It's a small message board that attaches to the front or back windshield using suction cups. It comes from a Philadelphia marketing company. They say it's a way to de-escalate misunderstandings between drivers and road rage. So through a phone app or a standalone remote, you choose between 6 short messages like, hey, let me merge, or hey, turn off the high beams. You can even say you're sorry if you're the one at fault. They've got options for a thumbs up sign or a frowny face. It's already got 3 times its goal on Kickstarter. You can pre-order one under the $200 mark that will eventually retail for, but just don't cut somebody off while you're fumbling through the buttons to apologize to somebody else. That would not be good. All right, if you're ready for a drone you can ride in, oh my gosh, get a load of this concept for a flying taxi. A Massachusetts-based tech company has created what looks like a massive drone, 6 rotors on the roof, along with seats for 5 people. Andrew, you should get in this. And just like a typical drone, it takes off and it lands vertically. Okay, so everyone's working on their own version of a flying car, but here's where this one is different. It's hydrogen powered. No heavy motors, no batteries. The only emission is water. So because it's lighter, the company behind what they call Sky, S-K-A-I, says it has a range of 400 miles, can carry 1,000 pounds, hit speeds of 120 miles per hour. They say it can be a taxi, an ambulance, a cargo carrier. But just imagine the traffic jams of drone taxis honking at each other in the sky. Do you think you're ready for that, Andrew? That flying machine, the Sky, a massive drone, 6 rotors on the roof, seats for 5 people.
Oh, I know. I'm not ready.
Not at all?
No interest.
Don't want to think about it?
The newer, the more likely it is to crash.
Yeah, I would not get in it.
Okay, if you're not going to get in it, you'll fly in anything.
Okay, but I'm just saying, maybe you might want to get in it.
No.
Maybe you're just feeling more adventurous.
I've been giving you this stat for years. 100% of people who get on an airplane die. 100%.
That's not true.
It's 100%.
Not true. Next, we'll talk to the Brownsville fireman who helped save a man's life by using drone technology here on Komando. Every once in a while, I come across a story. It's a heartwarming story, and it really makes an impact on me because it shows the power of technology and how it can truly save lives. And so joining us on the Skype line today, I'm so happy, I'm so thrilled that he's here, is firefighter and drone pilot Desi Tristan. Hi there, Desi.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us. Amazing story. But first, I want to know, how did you become a drone pilot?
That's a great question. I started with the fire department in 2003. When I started getting an income, I started picking up on several hobbies. One of those hobbies happened to be flying these hobby helicopters here that were very hard to fly back then. But I learned how to fly them, how to repair them, how to put them together.
Well, you know, and repairing the helicopter, that's an important part, okay?
Yes, it was.
Because they crash a lot.
That's right. And luckily I worked out all the crashing with these less expensive drones.
Awesome.
And then when DJI became more affordable in about 2016, I started with a Phantom. This is a Mavic, but I started with a Phantom model, which was about $500 at Sam's on a Black Friday special. And introduced it to the fire department because I knew it could really help us out in everything that we do.
And so let me just ask you a question now. Do you have to supply your own drone?
When we started, I started with a Phantom 3 standard, and to get the program going, I actually donated that drone to the fire department.
Wow,
so we can start
awesome.
our protocols. Thank you.
That's great. So what happened with Luis Zuniga?
So on that case, that was of January 7th of this year. Our program had already been running since 2016. Since 2016, we have built up from 1 pilot to 6 pilots. We had gotten sponsors and fundraised for our DJI Matrice drone. That drone is important because it carries a high-resolution FLIR camera, which helps us see body heat at night. We had already helped the police departments with a few cases of missing persons. So usually those persons are found rather quickly, whether they're with family members or they're at a different location. In this case in particular, we went out as we were requested. Apparently this 88-year-old male was missing as of 5 p.m., and we got the call out at about 10 p.m. So the nighttime helps us out. It helps us pick out the body heat easier. Yes. So we responded with our Matrice drone. We set up in a location that the police asked us to check. So a lot of important information comes prior to this, where we have one of our pilots meet up with the family members, find out the last location that he was seen at and where he could possibly be. So with our thermal camera and our Matrice drone, we checked about a half-mile radius around his house. We actually didn't find him in that area, and that took us almost close to 2 hours. Before we called it quits and went to go check a different area, I decided to expand our pattern a little further, and we found them. I believe on the video that was linked to the article you saw, it shows a heat signature that we pick up at about 200 feet, which is a tiny.
That is really amazing. I mean, that you were able to do that. And so go ahead, continue.
So before finding him, we had found heat signature. So when we find a heat signature, we stop at about 200 feet and then we descend. Since the camera really doesn't have a zoom option, we have to descend to about 50 feet. So we were able to find dogs and cats, amazingly. We've learned to identify those. So when we found this other hotspot, which was in the video, it could be a hot rock. It could be anything. So we stop what we're doing. We start descending. And as we're descending, the resolution becomes clearer and clearer, where we see a person sitting down, hunched over in about 4 feet of grass. It's pitch black. You can see a description of his cowboy hat, of his cowboy boots. He was already, from the previous incident, he was already missing a left arm. So we fit the description. At that point, we just have to hold hover. Our lights are very bright on the drone, so one of our vehicles was able to approach the drone as fast as possible because we were already running out of batteries on that particular set of batteries. So,
gosh. You know, it's so crazy that we have all this sophisticated technology, right? And then all of a sudden, Desi, I mean, a battery can take you out.
That's right. It could. Yeah, that's right. Or we could lose the position and stuff of the person.
Okay. So you were able to locate Luis. How long do you think that would have taken without the drone technology? even if you were able to find him?
In this particular case, just to be honest, without the drone technology, I don't think we would have found him that night. He was already severely dehydrated and exhausted. He could not, he didn't know where he was, and he was he was definitely disoriented. So talking amongst my other first responders, and I've been in this career for 16 years, we believe he would have probably passed overnight. And Border Patrol or somebody probably would have found him the next day.
You know what? It's amazing that you were able to do that, but also the use of the technology and that you are a self-taught drone pilot. That's really great stuff, Desi. And thank you for your service to your community. And I hope this serves as an inspiration to everybody who's watching in our first responders and also in our military. I have one more question for you. When you're not a firefighter and you're not a drone pilot, I see all the guitars in the background. Are you like a rock star that we need to know about?
Well, I studied music at the University of Texas. I played euphonium, and I currently play the bagpipes for the fire service. But I want to pass the love of music on to my kids. And so
the bagpipes.
We have our little studio. Yes.
So do you have to wear those little skirts?
Yes, we do wear the kilts. they're very comfortable, actually.
All right. Now the question, what's underneath the skirt?
Well, traditionally, typically nothing, just to be honest, again. So, but it's different for everyone.
All right. Well, again, Desi, thank you so much for joining us from Brownsville, Texas, and best wishes for you. And again, thanks again for your time.
Thank you for having us. Yes, you're welcome.
I always get so many great comments about my digital life hacks and DIY security tips. I'll point out our most popular ones next here on Komando. It's time now to do our digital life hacks tip, and every week we put one of these together for you. These are the tips, the tricks, the insider secrets that make using all of our gadgets and gizmos a heck of a lot easier. Because unlike other things in life, well, a lot of things in life, you don't get manuals with all your devices. And in this week's digital life hack, I decided that I would share with you 10 things that I know that once I tell you, you're going to sit there and go, gosh, I didn't know that, and now I'm going to use it time and time again. Are you ready? Let's get started with number one. All right, how can you make sure that no one else is using your Facebook account? You've signed in numerous places, but somebody can actually just hop right in and see all your messages and your posts. Well, what you want to do is you get into your Facebook security and settings, and you click on where you're logged in. You're going to find all the sessions. Then you want to click on that you want to end those. It also helps you see that if you're logged into a device that you don't recognize and when those logons occurred. All right, number two, make group calls in FaceTime. All right, it's not just one-on-one anymore. Let's say you have a couple of people in the family, you're trying to make a decision. Well, now you can have FaceTime video calls with up to 32 people. We're going to tell you how to do that. All right, three, robocalls. Oh, we all hate them. How do you block them on your phone? Well, of course, you can always join the Do Not Call National Registry list. Wait, I know, it doesn't really work. Well, fortunately, I've got the secrets on how to block those robocalls. We're going to share those with you. You can also set arrival and departure times in Google Maps. This is a new feature. All you have to do is open Google Maps, fill in your location, your destination, and then you get an estimate of when you should be leaving and arriving for a particular appointment. Apple Maps has some brand new indoor maps. What? That's right. You can now go inside buildings and do flyovers. And if you have Apple AirPods, there's something now called the live listen trick. That means that you could have in your AirPods, your phone could be in the other room, and you can actually hear the conversation that's happening in the other room. I know it's kind of creepy, isn't it? But we're going to tell you exactly how to do that. Next on our list is how to automatically lock your Android phone, because not everybody uses iPhones. We're going to tell you how you can make sure that your phone or tablet's unlocked in certain situations, like when you're near home, and other times it just automatically locks up. Now, number 8 on our list is for everybody who uses Slack. I know a lot of people do, but sometimes all those notifications can get annoying. I'm going to tell you how you can set up the Do Not Disturb mode. If you have a Mac, well, if you're on Windows, you know Control-Alt-Delete, the magical keystroke. What happens if your Mac freezes up? And you're like, yes, the Mac does freeze up. What you want to do is hit the Command, Option, and Escape keys, and then you can unfreeze a particular program. And then finally, if you're using Gmail, did you know that you can have a little James Bond action happening? That's right. You could send self-destructing email. Poof, they look at it and it's gone. Now, to learn all the steps on how to do all of this, look no further than the official homepage of the Kim Komando Show. That's KOMANDO.com. And for your convenience, we have a big button right there on the homepage called Show Picks. That's where you can read more about this and get all the steps you need. And that's this week's Digital Life Hacks tip. It's no great secret that the internet is full of scammers and hackers, and everybody's seeming to want to destroy your privacy and security. So that's why every week here on the Kim Komando Show, we do our DIY security tip. And this week, it's not all about the hackers and the hoodies and the scammers that are trying to get you and the robocallers and the phishing scams. We're talking about nosy relatives, right? Or just curious bystanders, and how you can protect what's really happening in your life. Because when you think about it, your phone is really just a handheld computer nowadays, and everything that's happening in your life is happening on your phone. So what can you do to make sure that nobody's snooping on your phone? Well, that's why you're here, and let us point out the ways. Number one is you want to make sure that you check your data usage. It's one of the best ways to catch sneaky kids or grandkids or spouses in the act of messing with your phone. Don't worry, we're going to tell you how to do that on your iPhone as well as on your Android device. And keep tabs on your battery health, too. If you set your phone down at 90% and it comes back at 80%, something could be going on in the background that you need to know about. Next on our list, you want to make sure wherever your phone is located. I mean, you might be putting it down and then suddenly somebody might have access to it. There's also Find My iPhone and Find My Mobile that you also want to check out too. We're also going to tell you how to make sure that you truly lock your phone, okay? Don't be like Kanye West and just have that passcode of 000000. Everybody knows that's what it is, okay? You want to set up different levels of authentication on your phone so that this way only you can access the contents. You also want to keep your notification screen clean. So you know what I'm talking about. You're at a meeting, you get a text message, and then somebody can just lean right over and see exactly what that message says. Well, what you want to do is make sure that you get the notification without the text message, because sometimes those text messages can be, well, kind of racy. You also want to keep it quiet. What does that mean? Well, the noises on your phone can be a telltale sign of what you're doing. We're going to tell you how to keep your phone in silent mode. And also, a lot of phones let you have custom vibrations, so you can actually tell what's happening just by listening to the phone's vibration. You also want to put limits on how you share your phone. Now, there are some features built into the iPhone I bet you never even looked at. I'm talking about things called guided access. And on your Android, there's something called pinning. Don't worry. If you head over to Komando.com and hit that Show Picks button right on the homepage, we're going to tell you how you can read more about this and also set it up step by step. And that's our DIY security tip this week that I think is one of the best ones we've ever done so far. The University of Washington recently published a report about what are the 4 things that trigger our smartphone use. What are they? I'll tell you next here on Komando. Let me ask you a question. How many times a day do you actually look in the eyes of someone who you truly love? Maybe your child or your spouse. Now keep that number in your head. I thought about this question while I was relaxing on a Sunday afternoon, and I noticed my phone was always within reach. It made me sad to think, like most people, I make eye contact with my smartphone a lot more than a loved one. We pick up our phones at least 50 times a day, triple that if you're a millennial. The University of Washington recently published 4 triggers for smartphone use. That's the same across all age groups. First, we pick up our phones during unoccupied moments, say waiting for a friend, and then before or during tedious and repetitive tasks. We also pick up our phones during socially awkward situations, and finally, when we think we're going to get a call or a text. Knowing these triggers has made me think twice before reaching for my phone, which takes my time away from the most important things in life. Maybe this will help you too. And keep your digital know-how going. Find your local radio station that broadcasts my show, along with more DIY tips, videos, free newsletters delivered from me to your email address, and ebooks on our website. That's Komando.com, and thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching. Now, a few things. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more digital know-how, check out all these other great links.